Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Reels and Heels. And I was just watching as Dave and Jerome were rocking out to that theme. There's just something about that theme that just makes everyone giddy. I mean, I always joke that every time Ryan Permisson is on, he's always like,
I mean, it's catchy. What can I say? It's got a good beat. You can pop to it.
Yeah. We need to start putting up the Beavis and Butthead headbanging meme.
Wow, that hurt.
Oh man, the show hasn't even started and it's already off the rocker. But before we introduce our familiar faces, what do you got there?
Hello.
This is Old Tongue Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey 50 proof.
Ha!
Oh my.
Uh-oh.
You're drowning in sorrow. My ex-wife is from Kentucky.
Kentucky is one of my favorite states.
My ex-mother-in-law would make bourbon balls that would get you drunk on just the fumes alone.
Yes, please. Bourbon
So
balls.
for
Yes,
our familiar audience, we have a new person up here. It's Dave Adams. How you doing, Dave?
I am well. Drowning my sorrows because just before we came on, Alabama lost our first game of 2021 in basketball. So, yes,
And we got a new friend.
Sorry, it's a green.
Oh, look at it. Always late to the party, Christian Basil.
Oh, I have a question.
Bride.
But Dave, I do want to welcome you to the HWS Web family. And if you want to kind of go over what is Unrelated at Birth. I mean, I hear a lot of talk about it.
We are me and my best friend from college, Adam Russell. We are a show that basically talks about everything we geek out about. It can be sports one week. It could be the DCU, which is what we're doing this week. We talked about boy bands last week. All over the
All right, nice to see you guys. I'm out. It's over.
No, it was a good show. I liked it.
It was a great show until that happened. So stop the camera. There we go. What the heck?
I will say,
what is that? Okay, never mind.
As a shout out to Christian. We Adam and I are actually fans of the Doctor Who universe. Adam likes it more than I do, so we will geek out a little bit about that. But
Lost me at boy bands. Okay. All right.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault that you don't know how good music.
Jerome, there's only one.
Already getting a lot of hate over here. Like,
there's only one boy band that's legal. That's a New Edition. That's it. Everybody else is garbage.
Yeah, you know what? I'm from Boston, so we have the new kids on the block up here. So
I have new Edition. Aren't they from Boston as well?
I don't know. Are they?
Where'd he go?
Oh, we lost.
I was just kidding about it.
Hey, Christian, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, what's your numbers up to?
What's
Michaela's numbers up to?
I'm up 130 over. Oh, you're talking about that. I was giving you my blood pressure. That is a good question.
I watched the show yesterday, so I want to know what the numbers are on your
Gotcha.
YouTube.
All right. Let's see. You know,
he's got a bet with Michaela.
YouTube, you're bastards, to tell you the truth. I was like, no, our numbers would go up, and we were like, we're neck and neck. But it seems like I'm asking all my friends that really put out promotions and everything, and it's just like, there's no way we're at this number. And not only that, but I think I hit like 63, and then all of a sudden it went down to 58, and she dropped 6. I'm like, the hell, YouTube? What are you doing? You make me feel like crap. Well, you might start on in here and crap out. It's just like, oh, you really want to touch 100? Oh, let's check it down and let's really make that boy work today out there. So Michaela J
isn't the bet about showing boobs?
Yes. Yes.
So if I got this right, if you reach 100 first, Michaela has to show hers, or you have to show yours.
No, she has to show hers.
She has to show hers, but she already said she's going to hold up 2 pictures of Brian and Carl. So that's it. She's at 55, and I am 60. So
ooh, neck and neck.
I know that's why we talked about boobs earlier. So
see, you know what? And I'm glad that I'm not the one to blame for our show going off the rails today.
Wasn't me.
Oh, wait. Willow Pillow Skylar Talker. The show ain't over yet. So
I want to show.
Watch the shit show happen.
The shit show is. You know what?
I noticed Dave's like sneaking away.
Dave, I promised that I would not do anything like any gimmicks to show off my show or any product placement or anything.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. Not whatsoever.
Not at all.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
No, I'm glad to see that we've all decided not to do the shameless plugs.
I didn't know we were live. I'm sorry.
I mean, we're not going to talk about Unrelated at Birth that records live every Tuesday night at 8:30, right?
Okay.
No, and we're not going to talk about Saturday morning cartoons. It's at 9 a.m. every Saturday.
No, we shouldn't talk about The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS being on YouTube now. You better get your asses over there. Because I'm going to start kicking.
Hello.
I'm glad
You can't because she doesn't know.
I'm on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you guys want to stop by my show,
you're not going to promote
Why
that,
do you
right?
feel so bad about this? You sound like you're like, if you want to come over.
If you want,
Okay.
come on.
Let me steal the thing for 1 second here. For those of you who are just joining us who don't understand what Jerome and I are talking about, my friend Michaela Jabe is an author. She started a YouTube channel just a couple of years ago. She's been slowly catching up, but she's finally rebooted it and started all over again. And of course, Brian K. Morris and I said we just couldn't let it go because I started my YouTube channel 2 days ago. So I said, you know what, we'll make it a game. We'll try it. The first person who goes to 100, of course, it's got to be it. We got to show each other. Now, this is the term that we use. We got to show each other topless, and then it became boobs. And then and Michaela goes like, well, if you want me to show you 2 boobs, she held up a picture of Carl and Brian K. Morris and goes, well, there you go. And I was like, yeah, well. So the correct term is topless. There you go. And that's where we are. Brian, you can have your show back. Sorry.
No, he never has it.
Sorry.
Come on.
He brought this on himself. He brought us all on the show.
Sorry.
So before we hop into the main topic of streaming wars, I just want to kind of show off some cool stuff. I finally picked up something for Nicole since she loves this show, Schitt's Creek.
It's not the right one though.
I know. David Rose is your spirit animal. That's what you wanted, but he was sold out.
I love David on a whole nother level.
And then I thought this was pretty cool.
She's trying to straighten him out.
See, I'm not a big fan of the Venomized Marvel universe.
I don't like Venom at all.
I don't understand why we have to feminize everything. It's like, why do we have to turn everything into a zombie?
Right, exactly.
I'm over it.
I mean, it was cute the first miniseries, but after that, it's kind of like Lobo.
I get the reference.
Yeah,
he was strong. So were his spinoffs.
85 pops we have.
I mean, come on. How many times?
85. That's it.
I don't know. I lost count at about 16.
Nicole, look.
Yeah,
the 85 are the ones I know about. Probably there's probably a bin and a half that I don't know about in the garage.
Don't make me show a picture of my my setup over here.
I was gonna say, what are you gonna take off your top 2, Dave?
Yes.
Let's bring Dave up here.
Here we go.
What's behind Alabama?
I think we're too early. We have to be after 9:30.
No, Dave's not drunk enough.
Hey, Dave, do you have a photo of your stuff?
I love how you went from take your top off to where's a photo of your stuff.
No, I just want to know what religion you are.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
That's my
cool.
pop.
Everybody, you're looking at a picture of Dave's
That's
junk.
that's what I want to do, but we don't have enough wall space.
So how long did it take you to?
Hey, all right. Anyway, how long did it take me to acquire all those? Probably, I don't know, 2 years. My wife said,
did you build the shelves though yourself and all that?
I did not build the shelves. I actually, when we did the remodel of my basement earlier this year, I had them build me shelves for everything. So it's as of now, it sits at 134, I think.
Oh wow!
And I'm an out of box pop guy, so I let my pops have to breathe. I know.
No, I understand completely.
I can't do it. I can't.
I can. I just don't want to.
Oh, also,
I refuse.
what you also don't see is, let me get a picture of this because you can't show it on the.
Oh no, dude,
Oh, Jeff.
you're being called out, dude.
Oh, okay. My wife. Because of Jeffrey Martin's idea. I get. My wife has the ability to get a throw pillow at the house. So, but this is my Star Wars shrine as well.
Okay.
Oh, let me bring you up here.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm like I said, I'm a geek podcast, and I have a lot of geek stuff.
I can't show you my geek stuff.
Dave, do you have that wife that has like 10 pillows on the bed and only 3 survive at the end of the night? Is that what it? Okay, I got you.
See, my marriage is.
Plead the fifth.
I have what you might call a mixed marriage.
Yeah.
See, I'm a Trekkie, and my wife's a Lord of the Rings fan,
Oh,
and we have competing toys.
okay.
Well, see, first off,
Out of the bedroom.
this is a conversation that has gone on long enough on Unrelated at Birth. My collection, these are not toys.
They're
They
toys.
are not toys. They are not
Somebody flush a toilet?
To my dying day, this is the hill I will die on. They are not toys.
They're Dave's junk.
They're
He loves flaunting it to everybody.
Oh my god.
Hey, we see your junk again. Bring it out here, everybody.
I'm actually kind of glad that everybody else is on the show today because now it's not me. I can get it. It's not my fault. I won't be the first one to drop the F-bomb, and I'm not the first one to drink. So,
If
see my halo?
What do you got here?
If you're watching this on the rewind, fast forward to minute 35. That's when we'll start talking about streaming.
So yes.
Wait,
I wasn't the first one.
35 seconds into this, so.
Okay, so this episode, the streaming wars.
We were supposed to be.
I did a little research here. 2020 was a very interesting year with the pandemic. You know, everybody was stuck at home. So I found this article where they did a survey.
Mhm.
Last year, 68.2% added a new streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that number would be higher. What about you guys?
I'm not surprised by how low that is.
I'm not either.
I kind of feel like that's actually pretty high, though. Like 68% of households added a streaming service. Like, I mean,
how many streaming? Let me do this around the board here. How many streaming services does everybody here have?
Oh gosh, you're gonna make me choose?
No. I didn't ask you to choose. I asked you to count.
No. Apparently,
WWE. Hey, let's start. WWE, HBO Max, Peacock. Netflix, Disney. Can we count AT&T TV as a streaming service?
If it's a streaming service, it's a streaming service.
Yeah.
You're getting content.
And not with a
AT&T
cable
TV.
or a direct TV provider,
Yeah.
not a satellite or a cable.
You count Peloton because you got all your workout stuff. My kids we got Discovery Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Good grief, I'm spending way too much money.
So when did you get,
that right there. How many?
get rid of
how many
cable?
you got?
When did I get rid of cable? Probably 3 years ago.
Okay, Christian, how many you got? Okay.
Streaming service.
Nicole says she has 7 or 8.
We have 8.
Okay.
I would say I still, well, it kind of morphed because I still have, shut it. Dave, you have the looks. I've got the brains. Let's make lots of money. Okay. Yes, that's the Depeche Mode. No, that's a West End. Yeah, it's I would say I have Spectrum still, but I didn't realize because I was late to the game and stupid. Because a friend of mine, I won't say who, but I have a couple of streaming services. But I found out that you can get Roku devices and get rid of the other cable boxes and make them cable boxes as long as the Spectrum. So it'll connect up everything. So I now have Spectrums in the bedroom. And I think I would say I have like maybe 3 or 4 streaming services. But that doesn't, those are, I would probably say I have access to 15. Because now you're adding Pluto TV, you're adding Peacock TV.
Pluto's free. You don't have to pay for Pluto. But
that's a streaming service, isn't it?
No, he's right. That's a streaming service.
So I would say I have about 15 streaming services. Do we consider YouTube a streaming?
Yeah, because they have YouTube TV on there also now.
Okay. So I got rid of all the cable boxes, put in the Rokus because I can just have the one Spectrum, and that's where we want to do it because I got BBC America.
So then let me change this. How many do you have that you're paying for?
3. If you want to put Spectrum into the mix.
Yeah,
that's a good question because my buddy Jeffrey Martin says he has access to 10, but only pays for 3 or 4. The rest he borrows.
Okay, Willow, how many do you pay for?
Well, right now I just pay for my cable, which has Crave, and Crave is HBO up in Canada.
Weird Canadian.
But see, here's my point. Okay, here's where I'm going with this: is that the reason that people are not adding is because they don't want to pay for more. They love the free stuff that they're getting, which means they'll love the commercials, but they don't want to add another pay service. That's part of why they cut the cable box. I got a friend who pays for 6 streaming services, and when she looked at how much she was paying, she realized she was paying the same amount that she was paying for cable.
But so here's my argument to that. Yes, you're paying the same amount, but you are getting an access of any show ever made, any movie ever made. Whereas if you're cable, you are tied into one schedule on their schedule,
but
it also
But it also depends upon which streaming service you're getting. Okay, I'm an old movie buff. You find me a streaming service that runs things like The Maltese Falcon or To Have and To Have Not. I can't find it with those classic films anywhere. Okay?
I'm going to take that to task, Dave, just a little bit. Because I got Spectrum. They do have on demand.
Yeah, so does Comcast.
So they do have still the on demand. So I see what you're saying, but I meant there are some days like Pluto TV has Doctor Who, but they're going to tell me there's commercials and this is the episode you're watching today.
Yeah,
and I'm cool with that because hey, it's Doctor Who. I don't have to go out and buy it, and sometimes. It's to my preference. The thing that I was hoping for, maybe I'm wrong about this. I don't know too much about Sling, but what I was thinking was what Sling was doing. Now, when we get the cable services for like Spectrum and DirecTV and Dish TV, which I'm going to tell you right now, do not get Dish TV in Florida.
Well,
are you crazy?
I was going to say you brought up Sling, which is owned by Dish.
Right.
That is their streaming service.
No, but what I thought, and I don't know much about Sling, but I thought this was the direction we were heading, because, like you said, Jerome, we are heading into the direction now. We're trying to phase out the cable. Now we're going to streaming, but we're spending as much streaming because we're okay, $5 here, $6 here, $2 here. This is free, $7 here. And by the time everything is said and done, you would spend the same amount of money you would for if you were to get. Cool. Oh, we're done here. Let's go watch Monsters.
Okay, I'm good. Yeah. I'm good.
So you end up almost paying the same amount, if not in some cases more, because you're getting streaming services, but you have them on demand. I thought I would love somebody to come out and say, okay, we have a couple packages. You can get 20 channels, 30 channels, 50 channels, and you pick the channels. So if I'm like, Spectrum really pushes the sports channels. I'm like, I'm not a big sports. I want, a la carte. I want, Discovery.
So,
I want
I
Disney.
have an answer to a la carte for you, Christian.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. About 20 years ago, the U.S. Congress tried to do a la carte legislation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Except they had heavy lobbying against it from the religious channels and the home shopping networks. Because nobody wants, if you look at the numbers, you've got, how many people watch Oprah? The Oprah channel? About 900,000. Okay.
Why?
Religious channels. Again, less than 1 million people are watching these. And the only way these channels are getting onto cable is because they're part of packages. And so they lobbied hard against Congress against doing this, and it failed in Congress because of that. It's a good idea. I agree with you. I want a la carte because, I'm not a sports guy. I don't feel like I need 12 sports channels.
But Dave wants sports channels, so he can get
and
his.
I need to pay for it.
Yeah,
I need them all. I do.
But all the sports actually have their own things. So if you want baseball, you can just buy the baseball package. If you want football, you can buy the football package.
Unless you're a sports person, and then you want ESPN, whatever.
You want free ESPN,
right.
exactly.
Like, 3. I need more than 3. I need.
There's like
I need
15. What are you talking about?
I never actually thought I'd see the day where ESPN the Ocho would actually be a reality, but I think we're already there.
Yeah,
and it's awesome.
I think we're getting close. So,
I'm
the only one that knows what each?
Let me put it this way:
the Ocho
my cable channel.
Let's see how it plays out for him.
Yeah, my cable company will not give me Turner Classic Movies as a channel unless I buy their sports package.
Right.
Well, that's exactly. That's why the cables have you by the cojones.
Exactly.
And a lot of the streaming services too. CBS did it. You can either pay for CBS or you get it free if you're a subscriber to
Paramount.
Comcast. Exactly.
No, you can't. I'm a subscriber to Comcast. I can't get CBS for free on the CBS All Access.
It's not then. But some other streaming services are doing that.
But again, if we're talking the streaming services, and if I can take us to the whether or not they succeed or not, most of these streaming services succeed, especially like Comcast, not Comcast, CBS, is because they have football. Okay?
Exactly.
I'm a Star Trek geek. CBS is not succeeding because of Star Trek. Okay, they're succeeding because they have the NFL.
Good point.
Okay.
Right. And I think CBS knew that they wouldn't succeed the way they were doing, and that's why they're rebranding as Paramount, so they have a movie library. Because Paramount, from what I did, is actually, I think, the oldest studio in Hollywood.
I will see
one of the oldest.
I will see your CBS is because of NFL, and Raise You, I disagree, is because they've had the SEC for so many years. After the SEC leaves them in 2024, you'll probably see them dropping in sports.
Oh, yes. I firmly expect NFL to leave to go to their own streaming service.
No, SEC, Alabama, like
college football. I'm sorry, I don't know college football.
Yeah, because college football in the South is huge. It's
right.
even bigger. It's even bigger than the NFL. And
right.
So
in 2024 is when the NFL is also leaving at the same time.
Exactly.
So you lose the two of them on any of these streaming services, and they'll go to their own streaming service. Make no mistake about it. NFL's already got the red zone.
Yeah, NFL Sunday Ticket is actually going to become its own thing.
Right.
Because right now it's only DirecTV.
Right. And the moment that happens, every streaming service that loses any of those sports channels, they're pretty much going to suffer huge hits. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys speak of sports, and I do not speak this language.
Okay. Let me move on to the next.
Kristen, come to Boston. We speak sports like they.
I woke up that Tampa Bay one is in the playoffs. I'm like, I didn't even know what they were. Do we have a sporting team in Tampa Bay that's not the Buccaneers?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I'm only a sports fan one time of year, and that's around winter time and hockey.
Yeah.
And America even steals that from Canada. So
Hey,
Yeah, not to mention it was a Florida team that stole it from Canada.
that's true. That's true.
Nashville did it first. Nashville did it better. Thank you.
We
very much.
somebody said Florida can have a hockey team. I'm like, what?
Florida can make ice.
They have lots of little cubes on their rink, you know.
We don't see ice unless we throw it outside of our freezer. I mean, it's just not going to happen. I mean, more power to you if you want to do that. But I mean, everybody's still going like Jamaican bobsled team. What? They made a movie about that. I guess it's a thing now. Hey, John Kerry.
Which they're making Funko Pops now of the Jamaican bobsled team.
They should.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
All right, go ahead.
So 53.7% signed up for Disney Plus.
That's it?
Last year.
That's it?
Yeah.
Disney Plus would blanket the entire country.
So,
well, up until that point, Disney, when they had launched in November of 2019, until I think it was halfway till last year, they were up at like 73 million subscribers. As of today, they're closer to 90 million, which is crazy for a new streamer. But it's the Disney brand. That's
right, exactly.
well, and I kind of wonder if this is new subscribers or return subscribers, because sometimes when you get, like we get it through Verizon, and then we bought our subscription ahead of time too for a couple of other things. Like, I think we bought the 3-year, and then we got a year from Verizon, and we got, I don't know.
Yeah, so we're not paying for Disney until
you just said the key word there, Nicole, is I bought it with. I got Hulu with Disney with Sprint, and I got something. So I don't know, what would be the outright if I was to go to Disney Plus and grab that, as opposed to, my phone company is providing it, or I've swapped out phones, by the way, they're throwing in Disney Plus. So it does kind of, for a better term, bork the numbers. I'm not saying that's not legit. I'm not saying it's not the case. But what is the catalyst to have made that decision, as opposed to like Spectrum throws in sports? Okay, now I've got sports channels up the yin yang. Does that count, or does that not count? If somebody's saying, "Hey, I want Disney Plus," or "I want my phone provider because I have Disney Plus."
We're hoping to have our phone providers provide us streaming services. Apple needs to get on their ass.
Well, come on, Apple has its own streaming.
Get off their ass.
Apple has Apple TV.
Well, I know they get Apple TV, but I mean, I shouldn't. The amount of money that I'm paying for my Apple, it should be free.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like we should have gotten something from Verizon with the amount of money we pay for our phones. So,
well, I mean, I just got an Apple phone.
I know a guy
for work, and I'm thinking, why am I not getting Apple TV also?
Well, you do. Most people do. I think when you get an Apple, you get Apple TV free for the first 6 months, I believe.
Really?
Yes.
Well, guess what I'm going to be doing at work tomorrow night?
Well, for me, I'll be watching the Royal Rumble.
Oh yeah, but what is everybody's thoughts on Disney and the Disney Plus app? You're all enjoying what they're doing so far?
It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's the best streaming service out there right now.
It's one of the big three.
Okay.
It's better than Netflix, because I have trouble finding things on Netflix. Disney, I immediately know what I'm going for. Do I want to watch Star Wars? It's there. Do my kids want to watch the any of the princess movies? They're there. Do I want to watch my 90s nostalgia Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck? It's there.
Darkwing rules.
There you go. if you go,
maybe you're in the mood for a little National Geographic. Well, it's
where do
there.
I find that? Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when Disney bought Fox, they bought National Geographic with it.
So for some weird reason, I thought you said National Lampoon. I'm like, wait a second, can I get what? Is going on Disney Plus?
My problem with Disney is like what Dave said. Dave wants his nostalgia in 80s. I want the 60s and 70s. I want the wonderful world of Disney that I used to watch on Sunday night television.
Yep.
Okay.
Where's the Dick Van Dyke lineup?
Yeah.
Here's my two big issues. Here's my two big issues I have with Disney Plus. One of them is not very PC, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to get hate, and I'm sorry. This is my first time on hanging with the show, and I'm going to get hate. I think we need Song of the South.
Yes, I agree.
Though it has some racial undertones. It was bad for the time, but there's a lot of racial undertones. It was bad for the time, but it's a historical movie.
Yeah,
and Walt Disney loved that movie. I think we need that.
Oh yeah, Song of the South needs to be released, if no other reason that it is a historical piece of our history.
Exactly. And it's got great music.
Exactly.
We
also need Home Improvement. Why it's
no, we don't. No, we don't.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I agree.
I like that show. It was a good show. It was
cute. Look, I liked a lot about Home Improvement, but I hated the kids.
Dave, I got some good news for you.
Fair enough. Okay.
Actually, there's a lot of the ABC stuff that's going to be added this year to Disney Plus, and Home Improvement is going to be added.
It is. Good.
Yeah.
That's perfect. It just brought back the nostalgia this year when Tim Allen did both Toolman Taylor and Mike Baxter on Last Man Standing, and now we get Tim Allen and Al Borland back on the History Channel show. So I say get the whole show back up, make it run again.
So if they're going to bring ABC stuff, does that mean I get to watch the old Charlie's Angels?
Oh,
dinosaurs.
Fantasy Island. Come on.
Hold on. Who actually owns those? Even though they were on ABC, I don't think they were ABC. They could have been licensed.
Don't you start using logic on me, pal. Okay.
Yeah, that show is over.
You're late for that.
Yeah. We left that a long time ago.
Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu and
no. Kate Smith, Jacqueline, okay, and Sarah. You know,
I don't know what these other movies are.
We just lost an angel.
Ryan and I are going to be great friends. I like this.
First of all, I remember back in the 70s and 80s where they came up with new stuff instead of rehashing old stuff.
Yeah, amen to that, brother.
Can we get new stuff?
Go back to that? Yeah.
Well, the problem is when they get new stuff, it sucks.
Yeah, that's true.
Discovery. Okay.
We're living in a world now where all like people our age are working in Hollywood, and we're going back to the older stuff because we remembered it so well that we want to recreate it. But at what point does the recreation? At what point do people have to stop and actually start looking at? Instead of reliving our past and
Charlie's Angels. I would say about 2016.
My argument is that there are always every year more original films and TV shows that come out. But if you're a well-known IP, everybody's eyes are glued to that because it's a known property. There's so many more, at least 200 original movies released every year, and some of them are really good. It's just when you have a big Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie or a DC movie, which is a known IP, the eyeballs are on those instead of the originals. And it's just a proven fact. You can look it up.
And that's why we have 800 Fast and the Furious movies.
Yeah. Let me ask you this.
But that's new. It's not. Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. But it's new. It's new stuff, and they don't mind rehashing it.
In the words of
Smith, stopped at Fast and the Furious 30. They should have stopped probably at
we were. Tell me I'm wrong, Dave. At our time, maybe I'm speaking for everybody. We were waiting for Jaws 13 to come out eventually. Rocky 25 or something.
Spaceballs did it best. Rocky 3000. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, now I will say this: I enjoyed Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and Creed.
Yeah.
Never been made.
You know, I watched Rocky 3 in real time. You know, back in the 80s. So you know, I can tell you, it wasn't that great.
I am a huge Rockies fan. I mean, that's one movie that my family always watched together.
But in response to what Christian was saying about, you know, about the eyeballs and everything else, it's like what Smithers said about Barbies, you know, because he collects Barbies, but it's got a new hat. You know, it's you know, we're not making any changes except for maybe something on the edge. I mean, how many times can you redo the Fast and Furious movies?
You know,
they've now become Mission Impossible movies.
I have something for that, actually.
Okay, so the only thing, but I'm going to say this, though, is that there have been about 4 or 5 shows that, as long as they go within the time that they should be on. So, like, I enjoyed the new Hawaii Five-0. Yeah. And I enjoy immensely the new Magnum PI. And how much of that is the fact that, yeah, I'm you know, nostalgic for the way things used to be, that kind of storytelling in a way, but I love the new SWAT. So I never saw SWAT. Like I never saw it when I was a kid, but I love the new one. And I love the fact that they've reinvented things in our real time, like real history, that these things could still be told. Yeah. Like,
but you don't need to call it.
I love Magnum PI.
You don't need to call it Hawaii Five-0. You don't need to call it SWAT and say this is a remake of those classic shows.
I can agree with that.
But I mean, how often have they brought out movies of shows from the past and just made a total joke of it?
Like, terrible.
Of Hazard,
Miami Vice.
Yes. Yes.
The Land of the Lost. Come on, really?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I never wanted to take Will Smith out behind my house and then do something.
Thank you.
I need to throw out some hypocrisy here. Ryan, you and I have been on the same page for your entire comments here. Rocky 4 and 5 are the worst for me. Keep that one in mind. And then his very next comment, Creed 2 is underrated. Creed 2 is a rehashing of Rocky 4.
Really, the Russians were involved?
I'm just going to say in this reference, Edward Woodward is always going to be the equalizer. I don't think anything has really changed if you were to go back and watch Edward Woodward as equalizer. Maybe outdated as far as the time frame, but the subject matter, what he did, what his character was, is not going to change. When they brought out Denzel Washington for the movie version, I was kind of like, okay. Then I watched it, I was like, Danielle.
The first one was great. The second one, not so much.
Okay, not so much, but it still honored the character, even though Denzel reinterpreted it, and he made it his.
Right.
And I accept it. Now Queen Latifah is now going to take it.
No.
Can we just put a...
But sometimes don't you feel like it's the character that is taking over the mantle that owes it to the character to pay homage to them? Because... I mean, I don't want you, if it's a rehashing of SWAT, if it's the same thing as Magnum PI, I don't want you to call it something else. I want you to call it what it is. Because essentially, if Magnum PI is Magnum PI, I don't care what he looks like. It's the fact that it's Magnum PI. The feel is the same.
Look, to me, Richard Dean Anderson will always be MacGyver. Okay, this wannabe guy that's been on now for a while, he's not MacGyver. I'm sorry. There was an innocence and an honesty to the original that this one just doesn't have.
So let me ask you.
I can agree with that, but I do like what is the guy's name?
Ramirez. And we are talking about streaming services today.
Yeah. Streaming services. All right.
Yeah,
so
we never stay on topic.
I need to drop this number. So as of last year, 74.6 want to binge all their shows right now.
Yep.
I can agree with that because I hate the way that Mandalorian and WandaVision are doing it. I want all 10 episodes right now.
Can I tell you why they do that?
Yeah.
We go back to it next week and we don't drop it when we're done watching it.
Exactly.
Well, that, but also then people are not talking about that service anymore. They're on to the next thing.
And
So it gives you a week to digest that episode, and you see on social media people are continuing talking. Disney's looking at, oh wow, they're still talking about us, and then you drop a new episode, they're still talking about
which
that
is
show.
a failure, like for shows that are really good, like The Expanse, where they drop all the episodes. And I'm kind of actually different. If they drop all the episodes, I actually may watch one or two and then recover, and then a couple days later watch.
Yeah, I agree.
Series 3 and 4, but
that's how I feel about it though too. I'm only going to watch a couple because if I have to go a certain period of time without watching it, that's why I think it took me so long to watch the last episode of Supernatural. Which, yes, I'm going to say Supernatural again because I just am. Who the fuck? And yes, I was the first person to drop the F-bomb. Anyways.
Ryan, I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
No, we can't be friends anymore, Ryan. I want your outfit from the group.
Of the Cobra Kai in probably 2 days. Just because you get so invested in the story, like, well, crap, I can't stop now. They leave you on these big cliffhangers that you don't get any sleep. You have to sit there and watch it. It's like 24 all over again.
Boy, you would never have survived in the 70s, Dave.
Oh, I don't know how I survived 24, all 8 seasons of it. Because the end of every 24 was the worst cliffhanger in the world.
You would have defecated everything out of your body if you had to figure out who shot JR, dude.
Okay. So Ryan is saying that WandaVision looks too confusing and crazy. See,
welcome to
Ryan,
the Marvel Universe.
That's the point of WandaVision, though.
I thought they keep on saying that this is a different take, which I actually am very happy about, because it's not just another superhero series. It's something that they're exploring into. It's not like, oh, we're going to beat up the bad guys. They're asking a lot of questions, which I'm glad they do throughout the series. Something about them in The Mandalorian. I just saw one of the episodes. I'm like too shy of the ending, but I know what happens at the end. That's fine. I know what happens at the ending, and I don't mind being spoiled. I'm one of those that tell me how it ends, and then I'll watch it, because if I hear what I hear, I'll go
the same way, Christian. I'm the exact same way.
Well, one of the strengths about things like dropping it once a week is that not only are you're talking about it, but you're digesting what happened. Okay, you're internalizing it. So now you've bought deeper into the series. Okay, because you either like it and you want to know what happens next, and it's not an instantaneous fix. You got to build up for it.
Right.
Or you positively hate it and you're walking away, and that's the end of that. There's a couple of shows in mainstream media that did that in each end. I'll give you a couple of them. 1 million people walked away from the remake of Bionic Woman. Okay.
They've tried that several times now, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you're rooting for, and a show is in trouble when you're rooting for the villain. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The most recent season of The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, zombies. Just take over. Go ahead.
The other one is there's 2 shows that did this. Was Twin Peaks and Lost. People got obsessed with these shows, and it was done on a weekly basis. There were parties done and so on. So there is positives and negatives of dropping it one episode at a time, because not only does it keep you invested, you also stay with the streaming service, and now you're rooting around looking at what else is there too.
But also, I think that you have time to talk about it with the fandom too. Like, if everybody is waiting for the next episode, at some point everybody's going to catch up. And they're going to want to talk about it.
Unless you have a podcast co-host that doesn't watch TV in real time. Adam Russell, I'm looking at you, sir. Sorry, I have to get that off my chest.
Okay.
All right, so here's the next number from 2020. 63.2% turned to comedy. That was the big thing of 2020. So a lot of people were watching The Office, which was on Netflix and now is on Peacock.
Because real life was a piece of shit. So
and
you needed a good laugh somewhere.
This happened at 9/11. After 9/11, theaters were asked by a lot of the fans to rerun Legally Blonde. Okay, because people wanted comedy. Because when you're depressed, I mean, look at some of the best comedies, especially the screwball comedies of the 30s and 40s. Why? Life was crap back then. You had the Depression, you had the Second World War. And where did we get? We got some of the greatest screwball comedies of all time during that whole time. The Stooges, Bringing Up Baby. You know, you could just bring up a whole mess of the Cary Grant comedies, Arsenic and Old Lace. Okay, yep. During the Great Depression, people went because they wanted to laugh because their life was so miserable. Okay, we're all stuck in our houses wearing masks or whatever, and our lives are crap. So we want something to lighten our load, and comedy's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that number, it's saying that's a combined of movies and TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
For sitcoms alone, it was 17.6%.
That's it? I figured that'd be higher.
But there's a lot of sitcoms though that aren't really all that funny. Like they're not really.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not set
Or more of a
for
tragedy like
for
Legally Blonde.
sheer laughs.
Yeah.
Like, it's not sheer laughs. There's all this family stuff, and then there's drama mixed in it. And so, if you're dealing with drama and nonsense yourself, you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to, do funny shit, and then I don't have to worry about it.
I don't mean to get political in this age, so I'll try to phrase this very well. The thing. Where did he go again?
He lost Dave again.
Taking a big piss, Dave. There you go. Some of the TV shows in 2020, and I think this kind of restarted. This serpent started bringing its head in. For whatever reason, why? Let me throw this question out to everybody, especially in comedies. Why do you watch TV? Let me put that out there.
To escape.
Exactly, yep. Dave. Exactly. There's the word that I'm looking for. And the reason why I'm saying that is somewhere between 2016 and 2020, we couldn't escape because they started bringing the reality into our shows.
Oh,
Agreed.
No.
I totally
It goes
agree
further
with
back than that, man. You guys.
Okay.
Really
I'll give you that, Jerome. But it started for me. Okay. Let me say it started for me back in 2016, and then the reality came in. It's just like I can't tell the difference of watching cable news and cable comedy when they're just throwing it back at me. I came to you. The world is S right now in 2020. There's a virus. There's an election. There's this going on. Please take me out of this reality and show me some good stuff. And what did I get? I got comedies and shows and dramas that just took my reality and threw it in my face even harder to the point where I kind of just left. That's why I think things like WandaVision and Mandalorian are doing so well, because we're taken away from our reality, put into somebody else's. And for a moment there, I can take off my fatigue and my anxiety and sit down and relax.
Okay, in the mid 70s, from 72 to about 74, life was crap. Okay, we had a huge recession.
Thanks a lot.
we had a huge recession going on. We had Watergate, we had race, we had everything that you're kind of having now. But we had some of the greatest comedies of all time that actually dealt with that. All in the Family, Good Times, The Jeffersons, Maude, all the Norman Lear stuff that were phenomenal. I can tell you right now, All in the Family threw that stuff right back in your face, and it was still comedy. Okay, the problem isn't the subject; it's the comedy as to how they're doing the comedy.
Okay, thank you, Jerome. Then there's that. It's just like, if you're going to be the Norman Lear, if you're going to be the person who's going to bring in this stuff, there is a way to do it, to present the message. It's now a moral. What is it? Moral is above story now, whereas story was above moral.
Right.
So Christian, what you're saying is that if you want to see the real stuff thrown in your face in entertainment, you rather see it done the Saturday Night Live way instead of what the sitcoms are doing?
Not necessarily. Like Jerome said, Norman Lear did it in a way where there was a great story and there was a moral to it. And even though some of my reality is in there, it wasn't the reality. It wasn't Orange Man bad. It wasn't cable news going after each other. It wasn't, pandemic, I'm wearing a mask. It was something else, but they still made it so that there was a great story. And even if maybe you didn't agree with the moral, it didn't bash it over your head. It wasn't kind of the better term Bible thumping. It was bringing you into the world, letting you make the decision. They didn't even say that there was a right or wrong. They would actually present both sides. The 90s was very good about this. A Different World was very good about this. I meant things like that where it said, I'm going to show you both ends. I'm going to make a great story, and I'm going to let you decide. And I'm not going to say what's right or wrong. I'm going to let you decide. A Different World, as much as it was kind of spoofed on in the 90s from my perspective, it actually had some great stories. Family Matters had some wonderful stories. And yes, there was a moral.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. Yeah, all these 90s stories, they did it in such a way they said, I'm letting you make the decision. I'm going to just tell you now.
So how about this? I don't know how much you've watched it. I've mentioned the show already once today. But Last Man Standing does a great job of this.
Yeah.
Tim Allen, we know he's a Republican. We know Tim Allen, the actor, is a conservative Republican. But they do a good job of laughing at him and laughing at the left to where you don't care that they're bringing in the modern day politics.
Yes.
Because they make it funny. They make it fun. They make it a good laugh all around.
And they made it, and when they do hit it, it's not the entire story. It's this 1 to 2 minute thing that comes in, but it still hits your mind. I don't want to be lectured in my entertainment. I want to be entertained. And if you throw in the lecture, make it so that I was entertained the whole time. So maybe you might change my mind. I don't know, but
it makes it a talking point, though. It makes it kind of like, oh, well, he did this, and that made me think about it in a different way. Like, I mean, most people, but most people when they see a certain person in a certain position. So when they look at me and they're like, oh, well, you're a teacher, so you must be a liberal. Yeah. So people do a lot to me,
and that's horrible.
I live in both places, I live very much on the fence. So when there's a conversation that gets made and there's a talking point that's made on the very conservative side of it, then I can kind of understand it a little bit better because I come from a different place. They're not bashing me in the face with it. They're just giving me an opportunity to think about it.
But what I'm saying here is that if you go back and you watch those Norman Lear shows, okay, they did hit you over the head. I'm sorry, they did. They hit you
in a different way that made you think, and not as much
as you might think. Okay, I lived through those. I watched those shows there, on Sunday night and stuff like that. And trust me, they hit you hard over the head. It was a sledgehammer on more than one occasion. And the difference is that our sensibilities have changed because this was first time that this had happened, that people were talking about this stuff. What we now have is a problem of they're following a formula, okay, that has developed over the years, okay? This is not groundbreaking. This is not new discussions. These discussions you're seeing that you guys are talking about, they've been around for a long time. We've just changed the players.
But the thing is, Jerome, back then with All in the Family, we were involved in a comedy. We loved the Archie Bunker character. No matter which side of the aisle you were, you loved Archie Bunker. You loved it when Meathead and Archie went after each other. George Jefferson, holy cow, there was an episode, it was about racism. And at the very end of the episode, it was the hard-hitting one. Flash forward, Different World. There was one where it was a bunch of, it was Caucasian kids versus black kids. Something happened and it was a life lesson, but it was a life lesson on both sides, not just one. And it wasn't just they were hitting upon the fact of what they're doing today, which is just making the bad guy out of it. They said, no, we're putting you into a lesson. So yeah, they were hard hitting at the time, but you know what? You sat there because you weren't being lectured to. I know what you're saying about Jerome with the Bible thumping, but you wanted to continue to watch because you weren't lectured. You were entertaining because Sherman Hemsley was a great comedian. He had his timing and he knew. And here's the other thing that's different from then than it was today. There were only 3 freaking networks back then. That's right.
You either watched it or you watched something. You watched one of the other 2 networks that were doing pretty much the same thing. So you couldn't get away. Today you can get away with all the streaming services.
Yeah.
You know,
were these antennas, and we had to bend.
Yeah. With the
Well, when we
that was our streaming service.
when we talk about how it didn't hit us the same way, like when I was a kid. So I grew up watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Mm-hmm.
And because I never saw in my real life, like in my everyday life, I never saw a Black family that was well-to-do and educated. I never saw that. And
that's why
for me to watch that and be like, oh, they really are just like me. Then we that was a clarity moment. Like I was able to see a world that didn't exist for me. And so I always thought it was more important to watch shows like that were like interesting and that they were like me, but they made it funny and they made it real. And it made me not feel bad about being stupid. Right. And Family Matters did the same thing. They talked about the real issues, but it wasn't the whole show. And it wasn't to make you feel bad for being, white.
Well, let me put it this way, Jerome, and back me up if I'm wrong. Dave, I know you want to talk. I see you jumping on it. Today, back then, they didn't see you as your skin color. Back then, they didn't, or at least for me, they didn't see you as a woman of color, a woman of, or your sexuality, what your sexual preference was. They saw you as Nicole. And that is where the focus should be. It shouldn't be on anything but Nicole. It didn't make you feel bad because you watched this show. It made you feel good because you learned something. It didn't berate you. It educated you.
Yep.
Again, the perspective is different. I have to throw this at you, Chris. Is that again, these comedies are comedies of their time. Okay, you watch all those Norman Lear ones, and they throw a lot of the stuff that was going on in there. The problem is people watch it today; they don't know those small little historical events that happened because it was the 1970s, and I grew up in it. I can't even remember what some of those were. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You forget about all those. I was just reading about a big scandal.
That was the 70s. Maybe that's why you can't remember.
No, but the 60s that you want to forget. Okay.
But Jerome, I bet you it was an influence. At that moment, Jerome the kid who was watching those shows at that time, for that moment, you were looking at it and you thought another idea. It didn't take morality and bang you over the head. Actually, some of it might be a little bit.
I grew up in a segregated area. Okay. Not a segregated, but a desegregated. I grew up in the U.S. military.
Hello.
So I had all that.
Hello. Asian, only Asian with mom living in a neighborhood of World War II vets.
Oh, okay. You win, Chris.
My
neighbor
had on his license plate a Pearl Harbor survivor. My neighbor would not let me walk in his lawn.
Guys,
I can't argue on that one. I concede all arguments on that one to you. Okay,
I'm going to run an ad, and then we'll come back to this because I have another number here that is still. I'm looking. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah.
From author Brian K. Morris comes an epic tale of armor forged by a god, a hero forged by courage, and an ancient menace poised to re-emerge and threaten our world. Volcana, Rebirth of the Champion, is available on Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
Was anyone else
David
waiting?
Thompson.
I'm Thomas Carter Rochester, and we're the hosts of Lights, Thunder, Action.
Join us weekly as we discuss the latest news in comic book movies and the film industry at large.
As well as the Trilogy of Trilogies, where we review trilogies you vote for us to talk about in the Tournament of Trilogies.
We go live on our Lights, Thunder, Action Show Facebook page and the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel every weekend.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts to stay up to date with the Lights, Thunder, Action Show.
They're like a bracket. Hey, welcome back. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, you did. You meant to cut us off. We're
All right, so I have a number here that I'm pulling my hair out that this number is this high. 21.2% are still looking forward to shows like The Bachelor.
Well, not everybody can be smart.
Well, no, people.
Not everybody can be smart. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, no, there's the rise in reality TV, but I have a friend who was on one of those reality shows, and that person told me a lot about the reality shows and goes like, yeah, they're not telling you everything.
It's not reality.
Reality is the last thing that a reality show teaches you. So that's
Christian, did your voice
Dave, I know
drop
you've been
there? Did your voice just drop?
I was just going to say, I think it's
sound a little lower.
making him sound
Hey, Christian, I was going to say, is that like your Barry White impersonation?
Hey, girl.
And now it's time for Willow Pillow Talk. Slide in bed with Willow and enjoy the ride.
No, I'm so glad I'm just a co-host. I am so glad I'm just a co-host.
Uh-oh.
Hey, girl.
Oh, Willow.
Sorry, guys, I'm just going to slip behind my curtain.
Wait.
Slip behind my curtains over here. Willow's gonna need a very cold shower after this. She's running to it.
All right, so not much to talk about the whole reality thing. I don't want to even talk about that. So let's talk about like the streaming services in general. So we have, we have Netflix, we have Disney, we have Amazon, Hulu. Discovery Plus just launched. Yeah. So there's pros and cons to everything. And when you talk about like stuff like YouTube TV and Hulu, that's a different sort of thing. Because Hulu's broken up into two things. There's the on-demand streaming service and then the live TV streaming service. So when you're looking at like the live TV streaming services, do you see a service that is probably sticking around for the long haul? Because you have, like I said, Hulu, YouTube TV, Sling. You said AT&T. You have AT&T streaming service?
AT&T TV. Yep.
Yeah. Do you see the pros and cons to those, and who may be a victor in the long run?
I don't think we're going to see a firm victor. I think it's going to be every man for himself. Mm-hmm. I do think we're going to start seeing more people come out with it. Eventually, it'll probably go back to our parents' old way of doing things, the old cable companies, because we said this at the beginning. There is way too many streaming services to where we're going to be paying $100 to $150 a month just for streaming services, along with $100 we're having to pay for the internet to run the streaming services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, that's where the cable companies have you, but they're like, well, you're not subscribing to us, but we can still charge you higher prices for internet because we know you need internet to run these services.
Right. Sooner or later, it's going to go back to the middle. It does this in politics, like Christian was saying earlier. It goes far left, far right, then moderate, and then far left, then far right, then moderate. Those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. And I'm afraid that we're about to be in that age where we're doomed to repeat it.
Well, on the plus side, this is a golden age for streaming. Okay. There's a lot of really good original content on this streaming services, as we've talked earlier about.
Yeah. We'll get to that part of the original programming later.
But what I was going to say but we're starting to see the shakeouts. We're starting to see some of the shakeouts. We lost DC Universe. Okay. DC Universe is pretty much dead. And where is it? It moved all over to HBO Max. Okay. There was a big loss about QB. Am I saying that right?
That was dead when it launched.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But we also lost the Global Wrestling Network. Had a streaming service. You guys are wrestling fans. Did you know about that streaming service?
Oh, WWE Network.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a failed one. HBO Max is actually their second attempt at streaming because they did a thing called HBO Now, and that failed even more miserably than what's going on. Yahoo had a streaming service called Yahoo Screen. I mean, these are all failed streaming services that we're starting to see shake out. Sony PlayStation Network had original content. They don't do original content anymore because it failed miserably, even though they've got 200 million subscribers because they use it for gaming only now.
Yeah,
Okay?
they had PlayStation View, which was live TV.
Yeah.
Right. But they've gotten rid of all that because it wasn't working for them. Okay. So
Because
we're starting
who wants to watch TV on their PlayStation?
No,
I mean,
well,
okay,
that app it started on the PlayStation, but then other devices picked it up.
It moved to Roku.
Yeah, Roku
and Fire Stick.
But my point is we're starting to see some shakeouts of those who are entering a streaming service who don't really understand what they want to do. This is kind of the problem that Peacock and HBO are having. Is they've got a great library of stuff. They're not quite sure what they want to be.
Well, Peacock is about to be the streaming service of all wrestling marks here in March.
Really?
So, yes, because the WWE Network has just signed an exclusive for all of their streaming networks to go over to Peacock.
I did not know that.
Peacock is about to blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a $1 billion deal, and it's 5-year exclusive is what I've heard.
Wow.
All the pay-per-views, all the old content that was on the WWE Network is all going to move over to Peacock.
Wow.
And all the original stuff that's been happening, like the
documentaries,
docuseries, and the other shows that show up.
Everything. So Peacock's about to be big. I will say though, HBO Max I've been enjoying. I just started watching the Titans series that was only on DC Universe. And now that it's on HBO Max, I'm enjoying it because I don't have to pay that $10 for DC Universe.
Mm-hmm.
I can now just watch it on HBO Max.
Right. But see, you lost. But DC Universe was what they were trying to do. And Warner Brothers realized DC Universe wasn't working. And so we moved it over to HBO Max. And now it's just part of the umbrella. Okay.
Because DC Universe also had the comics on it too.
That you can read the comic
you
books.
could read the comics on
and again, that didn't do as well as they thought it was going to do.
Oh no, because they have the Kindle and Kindle Live or Kindle Fire and Kindle all the Kindle stuff. Kindle Unlimited. So you're paying for it there.
Yeah, with books, I'm okay with just reading, with having Audible read me books. But when it comes to comics, I don't want to read my comics on a TV screen or an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
I want to actually hold that paper comic.
I agree.
Thank you. Yes.
I know that comic book, maybe 20 years down the road, could be worth something. So I think DC Universe might have been short-sighted to think that the comic fan would just read their comics on the universe.
Well, that was just to save money, because when you have all those illustrators, all those people who work on a comic, or I can make it on my computer, the same thing, have a couple people do that. But yeah, it's the same thing. I'll share this one. Who would be the comic aficionado?
Well, it's between me and Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say which one. Yeah, one of the three.
I got this at a charity event, and I don't know anything about it. I'm not a comic book
pull you up here.
But Harley Quinn,
one.
New 52, and it's signed by two of its
Amanda Connor,
Amanda Connor and
Jimmy Palmiotti.
Yeah, I think there's.
I'll take that off your hands if you don't want it, Christian.
I didn't say that.
No, I mean,
I just wanted. I want to know what it's worth.
in a few years, but right now it's probably just worth a little bit more than its cover.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, for what Dave is saying, that comics is a tangible item. I can't, the Kindle was a nice thing because I didn't have to haul a book around at the swimming pool. I just thumb my finger, and then I could put it down, put it away, or put it to somewhere like that. And sometimes small print is hard to read, so I can enlarge it and stuff like that. But you do kind of, you remember CDs?
Yeah.
DVDs?
I still buy CDs.
They're going away now, kind of, almost.
I have hard copies.
I still use mine.
But
Yeah.
I still use mine too, but I mean they're getting harder and harder.
I
to
have
get, or at least-
VHS.
I wish I still had a VHS player.
VHS is fine.
But, okay, so you're absolutely right. I mean, come on. I've got the first appearance of Supergirl. I've got a 1943 Captain America. Okay. Yeah, that's a story.
Big Finish is now an app.
Yeah.
I used to buy the CDs. Big Finish is an app. I love getting the CDs because if I saw the doctors or whoever was in it, I'd get them signed and get money off of it. But now I can't have Nick Briggs sign my cell phone. That would be just a little bit silly. But I mean, I get to listen to all the audiobooks and he's got a big sale on it. So it's a kind of a give and take.
Right.
As far as the evolution, I kind of think, and this is going to be weird, you're probably going to reject me, but hear me out on this. I don't see the rise of the streaming services. I see the rise of the devices of the streaming services.
That's true.
Kindle Fire, Roku, and all that, because they're going to be fighting, and it's going to be who's providing.
Yeah.
I think more or less. And if you like, well, I want this, and that, and I think that's why I hope I see one day. And I know Congress probably, tried to do it and everything, but I think you're going to see the rise of somebody going, you know what? What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want to see? 30 channels. I will sell you 20, 30, or 50 channels. Here are the prices. Here's for the monthly fee. Some of them are going to be premium. Like if you want HBO, that might be $1 more or something like that up top of it. But if that's the case, why don't we just keep our cable?
Yeah,
exactly.
And I see that already with the streaming services. And if you,
looks like we're going back to cable service again.
I mean, you look at them, and it's what do you that's what the streaming services are saying. What do you want?
Right.
And again, but the problem is it's such a niche market in some cases. I mean, like I said, we were talking earlier about how I love the classic movies. Okay, that's kind of a niche market, to be honest.
Well, it's funny you bring up niche. There's streaming services like Shudder, which is all horror.
Right.
If you like Broadway, there's one called Broadway HD, which is all the live Broadway stuff. And then I also think Criterion has their own.
Oh, I love Criterion. But,
excuse me while I look up Broadway HD.
Yeah. There's Acorn TV, which is all British shows, which I'm surprised, the Doctor isn't on there. There's Shout Factory TV, which does all those classic TV shows. And there's there, but these are not making a lot of money. A lot of these, okay. And
but that's why you subscribe to them for the year,
right? But
and
even so,
you have both. But you have both exclusive content, and you have old stuff that's ran multiple times. Like we've watched Shudder live.
Right.
Well, whatever crazy stuff was on was what we turned on. And then we could go and look for some strange documentary that Brian wanted to scare the hell out of me for.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so here, let me ask you this then. A lot of these streaming services outside of Netflix, because they don't do this yet, would you rather pay an annual subscription fee versus month to month?
Yes. Give me an annual any time of year.
I pay an annual for Prime. See,
well, the thing is, though, does Prime actually count?
Money.
Because people buy it for the free shipping.
Yeah, but you're getting something for that. You're buying a service, not just a streaming service.
I bought it for the streaming service.
I bought it for the free shipping.
Okay. Well, I bought it for the content that I'm watching, because I watch the videos in a lot of locations. Okay, and I don't buy a lot of stuff.
Hey, Willow, do they have Prime in Canada?
We do, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if that was just
Here's my question though, is where I
Canada's 20 years behind us. The Bee Gees are still catching on now.
Here's my question though, is all these
That was going to happen at some point.
Yeah. So these small niche streaming services, how long can they stay viably financially? That's the real question. And that's where you see these shakeouts, is that these guys are not making X number of dollars or X amount of profit.
Well, Shudder's not going anywhere because horror is always going to be around. People love horror, and Shudder is owned by AMC Networks, and I don't see them going anywhere. So.
But I think that's why Discovery owns so many channels, which are on Discovery Plus, and that's why Disney brought in National Geographic and
Well, Disney owns everything to begin with.
I mean, I know they own it, but they brought all of this in. Shut up.
Okay, fine.
I'm a mom. I can talk.
What was that noise?
You didn't name your dog.
You were talking about the niche of certain.
But I think that's how they how they can stay alive is if there's a multiple thing. Like I love Discovery. I love Discovery Plus. But what I just found is that some of the stuff on the Spectrum screening, shut up, on the Spectrum screening, on like Spectrum's travel HD or whatever, is not on Discovery Plus yet. And so I'm waiting for that to be on there because I've run out of stuff to watch on Discovery as far as paranormal shows go. Like I watched every paranormal thing. So I'm like, what's the new thing that I can watch? Well, I don't want to watch Bigfoot and I don't want to watch these, country bumpkin hicks look for monsters in the woods. I don't want to do that. It's like Duck Dynasty meets sightings. I'm okay.
Down here in Florida every day. You don't even need a streaming service. Just go outside about 30 miles out Colonial Drive. You'll see it live.
Aliens. Look for the aliens.
So I can tailor what I want to watch. Brian will sit there and watch the Food Channel and the Food Network and never cook me anything. But I only do this show to throw shade at him.
I think it's safe to say though that Discovery Plus and Shudder are pretty much going to be safe because they have an audience and always will. Because you love people that
they own a buttload of stuff.
Well, yeah, you got documentaries. No. People love Shark Week, so I mean that's been going on for how many years? Almost 30. So
can we talk about how overrated Shark Week really is?
Yeah,
I kind of like it. I'm
just sad that the good documentaries about sharks aren't on Shark Week anymore. Like we're gonna do Shark Week after dark. Like, well, I don't fucking care. Like,
with a shark or something. Sharks banging each other in the ocean.
It's not even shark porn. It's just.
Hey, there you go.
Actually, going on by what you said, Nicole, because of like Shark Week, it's getting bad. Like Sci-Fi Channel, when it first started, it was sci-fi.
Yes,
it was SCIFI. It was entertaining. It had Doctor Who. It had the stuff that I wanted. That made it the Sci-Fi Channel. Now today they have Sci-Fi SYFY, and they have Big Dentured Dinosaur versus Big Titty Shark against each other, and that's what they consider sci-fi. But I mean,
come on, they were running.
There seems to be a niche for that because
on that show on that channel recently.
It's owned by NBC now.
God.
Yeah.
But it's sci-fi. I was like, but there must be a niche for the silliness because Sharknado did as well as it did.
Sharknado rocked.
Here in Florida. That's kind of, to me, that's a one-off. That's not something you build a network out of, and you really want to hit. It lost the sci-fi feeling, like you said, Shark Week. And when I watched Shark Week back then, I watched the old. I actually put it on the DVR and kind of watched the old episodes because they're cool. But the new episodes, Shark After Dark or whatever the heck they're doing, or they put Shaquille O'Neal in a cage.
Yeah.
Which I would pay money actually to do it myself, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But I want to watch the ones where they're talking about the people that got eaten by sharks or attacked by sharks and where these things happen and the science behind it. That's what I want to watch.
I want to watch the same thing. There was one that actually was the inspiration for the movie Jaws.
Yeah,
there was one. I like the ones that's kind of give the ones like the lemon sharks, the life of a lemon shark, the life of a sand shark, the life of a tiger shark. And are they dangerous? Are they Megalodon, Architeuthis? Are these things out there? So it's kind of lost its way because it kind of tries to reinvent itself, but then it forgets the direction it started, like sci-fi. Sometimes it gets it right, but most of the time,
how about showing actual history on the History Channel?
But now it's not aliens.
Christian, I agree with you completely. The problem is this, and this is where you're going to see this also with the streaming services, is they're going where the audience is or where the money is. Okay, remember, this is show business. Okay, they got to make a profit. They got to whatever. And if what we want doesn't make their money, they're going to go where it is. Look at AMC. AMC's ratings increased when they started doing movies with commercials, because it was originally called American Movie Classics. Okay, and they would run movies without commercials, and then they started putting commercials in, and their ratings went up, and they started making more money. And then they decided to do original content. Where are the movies from that they did? History Channel, we were just joking about. Where's the actual history? Not this documentary or reality baloney that, whatever. The problem is Ice Truckers makes lots of ratings, and so does Vikings. A&E.
Vikings is sort of historical. Do
you know what A&E stands for?
Arts and entertainment.
Arts and entertainment. When was the last time you actually saw something artistic on A&E?
No.
Okay.
Come on now.
On stars.
Okay.
I just heard that.
TLC. Okay. Do you know what TLC was?
They were a pop R&B band.
The Learning Channel. Yeah,
the Learning Channel, and it was a lot of educational stuff on there. Again, why did they change? Because their ratings weren't making it, and they weren't making money.
So you're telling me you're not a fan of
You're gonna have it your way or no way at all.
What's great? We have
Get him off. Get him off right now.
We have the power to mute microphones, so
I can unmute myself. Thank you very much.
Silence of the Lamb.
Wow, Willow just shut us right down.
Use the force.
All right,
That's why I don't talk that much on this show, because I'm afraid I'm going to get muted.
But I think streaming services are going to follow the same type of situation. Is they're not going to go to what we want. They're going to go to where the money is, where they're going to make the money. Okay.
Yep.
I get your point, but I mean, you can still make the Learning Channel can still be the Learning Channel. There is a show, I think it's on the Shines channel. It's called How Is This Made?
How It's Made.
It shows me how it's made. Literally, it shows you like how
I love it. I watched all 22.
I watch it. I'm like glued to this, and I'm just
cool.
why can't you do that? You can still be the Learning Channel and come up with some.
Yeah.
Come on. So you're telling me about the Learning Channel and how it was made. When I was in college in 2001, 2002, the Learning Channel had the baby story and the marriage story. Tell me that was learning? No, that was grown worthy, as Willow just showed us. That was grown worthy television. That wasn't learning.
I learned so much more from Mr. Wizard than Bill Nye the Science Guy, and I still today think that Mr. Wizard can kick Bill Nye's ass.
I watched them the
and I
Learning
paid
Channel.
for that on.
I watched them do a C-section. Okay.
Why would you watch that?
Because the guy I was with watching it also was a doctor during his residency. Okay.
Watched my own C-section, so there.
Okay, so if they were to put these things like Dr. Pimple Popper on a streaming service, would you guys?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
No, I had to leave the room during the C-section thing.
Not at all.
Okay, so let's talk about original programming and the different streaming services. We already talked about WWE's moving over to Peacock. Peacock has some original stuff, like they have the reboot of Saved by the Bell, which is
worst episode of television ever made.
Oh my God. Ugh.
Yeah, it's
who knew
Wait a
Elizabeth
minute.
Berkley was as bad an actress as she is.
Can we have a moment of silence for the actor who played Screech? The man has stage 4 cancer.
Stage 4 cancer. Yeah.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah, well, minus the fact that he's a complete and total douchebag.
Didn't he go to jail or something?
No,
He's
but
a complete and total douchebag.
he got busted for stabbing somebody.
Complete and total douchebag.
But
somehow karma, I think, had to roll in this a little bit.
No, Carl,
no, he doesn't deserve to have
we don't know
campus
where the
cancer,
rails
but-
are at this point.
There are
I
no
want him to
rails.
survive.
We went
I want him to live.
before the show even started.
I want him to live. I want Sunny Dallas.
Okay.
Is it Sunny Dallas?
So-
Dustin Diamond.
Dustin
Dustin
Diamond,
Diamond.
All right, and
Dustin Diamond.
Netflix, I think they have a pretty good originals. Sabrina was pretty good, I thought.
I love Sabrina.
Oh, come on. You can't tell me
I
she
love
wasn't hot.
Sabrina. I love Sabrina. I love the fact that it's dirty and it's gory and it's how it should be. No, I love Melissa Joan Hart, but no, thank you.
Oh, that's Sabrina. Okay, I thought you meant the new one.
I do.
She does mean the
I
new
like
one.
the new one.
I was hooked in the bathtub scene, so that was it.
Here's the deal.
Throw in Michelle Gomez, and I've got a happy. You know what? I don't have. I can put my Pornhub app to rest for a while.
All right, Dave. No, he's gone.
Dave, there goes Dave.
I am gonna have to start making a soundboard. Anytime someone says something dirty, I need to have sound effects for that.
Oh my.
Well, it's okay because Christian, I'm going to tell you right now, I did not know that Pornhub had an intro. Still to this day, I will never deal with the fact that one of my 8th graders had it as his ringtone. And the whole world started laughing. The whole class was laughing. And I'm like, what? It's just his cell phone. And he goes, no, it's the Pornhub intro. And I went, what?
I didn't know Pornhub had an intro.
This is shared on my.
Could you imagine? I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, that was the faux pas. Today, the kids are going like, "Yeah, I recorded all these movies. I got superheroine fetish."
Dave, I think you wanted to say something.
I forgot what I wanted to say now.
All right, and then
I am no longer the reason this show will never be picked up on public television.
Oh my god!
We were talking about the originality of like the original shows. So Disney has the Marvel shows and Mandalorian. Amazon, I think Amazon has some really good stuff. They have The Expanse. They have Jack Ryan. My favorite Amazon original is Bosch. I think Bosch is one of the best shows in that type of field.
You haven't watched The
The Boys.
It's so good. It is a gritty comic book TV show, and it's amazing.
I have a new appreciation for the C word since Carl Urban. I still can't say it, but I have a new appreciation
Man
for
in the
it.
High Castle. If you haven't seen Man in the High Castle,
one too.
Yep, that's a great one.
The problem now with all the streaming services, with all the good content, I don't have enough life in me to watch all of this.
I'm with you there,
How am
Christian.
I supposed to watch all of this?
My Boeing. So I work for Boeing. My Boeing work has suffered because I have all my streaming services on my personal computer as I'm working on this computer. I'm watching stuff on-
Dave, you work with Boeing, like the Boeing 747s?
No. I'm on the defense side, not the Max side. Yeah, the Max is not my fault.
Oh, okay.
So if something goes wrong in one of our wars,
Yeah.
Dave is just having a bad day because you know what? The boys had that episode. Carl Urban that didn't happen there. And Nicole, you were talking about, what was it earlier, that the streaming services went up 88%. It's just like 86 of that is Pornhub. So
See, and we've been.
and it's other sponsors.
And because of the pandemic, a lot of us have gone to Facebook Live and Twitch and spending our time there. So how long until Facebook decides to, start charging us for the service?
Shush.
Yeah, I don't think Facebook ever can, because Facebook has built itself on being a app for the people. And if they do, people will start leaving it like they left MySpace.
That's true.
Facebook was created to be a blog originally, I believe.
Right. Well,
No. Facebook was originally created by guys to comment on their female classmates in Harvard.
That is correct.
Okay. So
I still do that.
And how many restraining orders do you have?
Depends upon which state you want to count.
There you go.
I think if definitely Facebook start charging us. I mean, basically, if Facebook started charging us, YouTube would definitely get an implosion.
Well, Facebook right now does have some original content going.
Not much, though.
No, I'm not disputing that, but they are running.
We're not counting this show as original content.
No, but They have a paranormal. They have a paranormal show. Basically, it's started off as a webcast, and it's basically about whole town disappearing, stuff like that. But they
you mean WandaVision?
Huh?
You mean WandaVision?
No, no, it's a different one. Government conspiracy.
Oh, WandaVision.
Right, okay. But my point is they're trying it. They're trying to see how it's working. To be honest, nobody's talking about Facebook's original content. They kind of ignored it.
I wasn't even aware there was.
Yeah.
Every week
they do. Cobra Kai was the original one of the.
No, Cobra Kai was on Yahoo. It was on YouTube.
No, it's on YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry. YouTube. I'm sorry. I'm thinking.
So I will say this: as a sports guy, YouTube TV or Facebook does a Facebook Live sports baseball broadcast every week, where the only way you can watch that team's broadcast is on Facebook Live.
Interesting.
And it is horrible.
Well, there you have it.
It's funny that some of the content creators are doing better than the content provider. And I think that's where YouTube, I think, is getting a little lost in that. It should be that the content creators should still be here. They've gone really off the rails as far as how they handle us, how they treat us. Mm-hmm. And as funny as it sounds, because I just entered the realm just 2 days ago. So it was just, Nicole, what are you yelling?
My child is in the kitchen.
I got that. I'm just like,
it's a mom voice.
Nicole, go find something.
It's a mom look.
That was the look if I ever saw one.
Did you see Nicole? No, she said an entire paragraph with
the look. Yeah,
that was it.
Yep. It's something they get when they become moms. Because my wife, my wife never had that look, and now with my daughter, she now has that look. I
told you everything you need to know with.
Look, Nicole, go find something called Limetown, Lime Town on Facebook.
It's with Jessica Biel.
No, it's more like Supernatural trying to find journalists trying to find out why a whole town went missing, and nobody noticed.
Limetown, like true.
No, line.
Oh.
Okay.
As in put the lime in the coconut.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of chaos happening here. I have very loud children.
Did you name your dog Cujo by any chance?
No. His name is Dingo. Like Dingo ate my baby.
Okay, there we go. But yeah, I mean, nobody talks about Facebook's original content. I mean, I'm just looking now at Wikipedia. They got a whole list of Facebook original stuff from comedies, and I'm looking going, never heard of any of these.
Yeah.
And there's a point because they don't advertise it as well.
Exactly.
I think just like the comics, you're going to see the rise of the indies because I'm not going to boast our own egos here for everybody who's got a show on here, but could you imagine us being an app with the HWWS? Just our shows. And like I said, I'm not tooting my own horn, but a lot of the shows that I watch are either Rising Tide or HWWS. I barely even watch TV anymore.
Yeah.
Same.
And it's kind of weird because it's kind of like being with my friends at the time and having a discussion. And then there's Brian K. Morris, there's Ted, there's Willow, there's I hate the fact that it's Saturday afternoon. Sorry, Jerome. I'm sorry, it's Saturday morning. I'm just like, it's the only day I'm really doing something.
We'll get you to watch our show at some point.
I do. I try. But I mean, like, I watch our content and it just seems like that seems to be enough. And then there's nighttime content with Mandalorian, WandaVision. But I think you're going to see the rise of the indie if the path is open to it. I know YouTube kind of every once in a while throws not a bone but a wall in our way and throws something out there. But I think you're going to find the next Markiplier, the next. I'm trying to think of somebody on my head, but somebody who
look at what is it? The Nerdist started off as a podcast.
Right.
Okay. How about this? Listen, a guy like y'all probably know the name being from Orlando area, Tim Tracker. He is a huge Orlando guy who just started making vlogs going into theme parks. And now
right.
he's got,
and now everybody does it.
well, no, but now he does where he does home vlogs with his kid and his wife, and people, they've got millions of subscribers just because they watch their life now. That's
Right.
now a TV show.
And you're seeing that with comedians. Okay.
Remember the writer strike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have stuff from Felicia Day if it wasn't for the writer strike.
Yeah, every fanboy in the world got a crush on her because of that show.
They were fangirls,
I
too.
saw Jerome. He had to correct himself. He was going to say something else.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, we all have that
That's
because it's
right.
Felicia Day.
I mean, look. I mean, when Dr. Horrible, okay, started off as a web thing, and we've got lots of stuff. And Christian, you are 100% right. I mean, okay, my show doesn't have the numbers that Christian's does, okay, but he's right. We're all developing audiences. We're all developing shows. We all, we hang out. Christian and I have met a couple of times through this show. We haven't met in person. Someday we might. I don't know. And then he's going to probably smack.
Big boy.
When the world implodes, we know why.
Yeah, no, but Christian's going to smack me. I guarantee you if we meet in person. But I mean, you're right. We are shifting towards this type of viewing.
Right.
But I think there's something to be said about that because we have all jumped in with the pandemic and all this time that we've had is to say that now everybody can podcast and now everybody can throw their voice in the ring.
Well, and that's what's happened is we were headed in that direction anyway. The pandemic just sped it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that happened.
I was already here first, and you people get off my lawn.
No, I'm the old guy here. I say get off my lawn.
I must say, we're all talking about Christian and Jerome. Are you talking about something like this?
This is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
Wow, you're a legend.
Why did you end?
I'm not a legend. This piece of metal thing is.
Why did you end? Yeah, I have to ask. Why did you end with the worst Doctor actor?
What?
Hey!
Get him off my lawn.
David Tennant should have been the final picture.
No.
I'm not a big fan of her either, I got to say.
Actor? You're hurting me now. You're hurting me.
Okay, maybe second worst.
Worst written for Doctor, but not the worst Doctor.
Thank you, Christian. Right now is the worst.
What's that?
Doing it now is the worst.
I'm not going to say anything first. I have a show for this topic. Thank you very much.
Meet him on Tuesday night.
Well, since we're going down this route,
I can't watch this new Doctor.
Yeah, I've got 120 episodes now, dude. So you can go back and binge watch all you want.
So let's talk about Apple for a minute. Who does? A lot of people don't know. They have a streaming service called Apple TV Plus, which they have award-winning shows like The Morning Show, which won like all the Emmys the first year that it came out. They have For All Mankind, which basically is Russia landing on the moon first.
That is supposed to be a phenomenally good. The Akutas have been watching that, and they've been doing work on it, and they've been talking about how good that show is.
Yeah. Snoopy in space is awesome.
Yeah, it's like now.
Does anybody know if the foundation is dropped or not?
I believe that might be already out. But my question is, see, Apple only has those original content. They have no library. And there's a rumor that Apple is looking to buy the studio MGM.
Why not? They've got several billions of dollars sitting offshore doing nothing. So
when they buy, if they buy MGM, that gives them a library. That gives them the Bond franchise. That gives them the Rocky franchise, and I mean even further back. and I had a conversation with Pop Garrett, and he was saying that Apple really doesn't need to, be a horse in this race because of iTunes and all the products and stuff. But I say because they have a streaming service, for them to be in competition with the other services, I think they need a library, because they can't just go on the content that they have right now.
I can sort of agree with that, but then they own all of the Peanuts rights. So, it's Christmas Charlie Brown, the Thanksgiving, the Halloween, all of that is Apple TV Plus. So if you want to watch any of the old nostalgia Peanuts, you have to go to Apple TV now.
We lost Christian.
No, back.
The thing is this, like I said, is they've got so much money sitting around doing nothing that I can pretty much guarantee that they're probably going to do like the whole Netflix, where they're going to just go almost all original content. Buying Bond and those franchises, that's nice, but they're not going to bring in the audience all the time. You're looking for stuff that's going to bring people in. New content is what people are bringing in. Nobody's going to Disney Plus to go and see the rebroadcast of those 90s shows. Well, all right, Dave, you're the exception.
That's
not true. I watched Recess.
Yes, I understand that, but is that why you bought Disney Plus?
Yes.
All right, well, you're the exception, Dave.
I bought it because, come on, any of us that are family, any of us that have kids here, how many times did we watch Frozen? How many times did we watch Beauty and the Beast growing up? How many times did we watch Ariel, the Little Mermaid?
Yeah, that's why I have it on disc.
Well, see, but now we don't have to have it on disc. Now we don't have to go out and buy Moana. We don't have to go out and buy, this, that, this. It's all on Disney Plus. So I pay $12.99 or however much it is. I pay $12.99 for the bundle, just because I don't have to go out and buy the new DVD now. It's already there.
So here's my thing. I know we're talking the streaming wars here, and to me the streaming wars is not about who's going to survive. Per se, it's who's going to attract the subscribers based on like what they're offering. So I'm going to say something a little probably unpopular with a lot of people. I'm a physical media guy.
You never say anything unpopular.
Physical media to me is always going to be better than streaming, because for them to have all these movies and shows on a streaming service, they have to compress everything. So the video is compressed, the audio is compressed. On a disc, you're getting the full resolution audio and video, and it's not compressed.
Well, how many times does Netflix pull shows?
Right.
Okay. When I got it on a disc, you can pull the show all you want. I've got it.
Let me ask you this though, Jerome.
Yeah.
When you have a physical owned DVD,
do
you think, you know what, I'm going to pop this DVD in and watch it?
Yes.
Or do you think, there's nothing on. Let's see, what's on Netflix?
Oh, I do that too. I do that too.
Anchorman. Let's watch this for the 50th time.
I'm not disputing what you're saying one bit. You are absolutely right. I do both of that though. See,
but the problem is you will watch Anchorman more if it's on a streaming service as opposed to popping the disc in, because you have to be in the mood for Anchorman to pop that disc in. When Netflix is on, when it's on Netflix or whatever streaming service, look, there's a picture of Will Ferrell at a desk with Anchorman.
I'm not disputing. Dave, I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm saying I do both. If I'm walking by the bookshelf with all the discs on it, I'm going to go, yeah, let's watch this. Okay. But if I'm sitting on my couch, I've just watched something and I'm too freaking lazy to get off my couch. You're absolutely right. I'm going to start doing that. I mean, this is why I've gotten into the Korean dramas. Okay. On Netflix,
That's a deep dive.
It was a deep dive, but they're good stuff. I recommend a few of them.
I agree with that though, because Brian will put a DVD in before I will. Mostly because I don't know how the hell to work whatever.
Honestly, I don't know where my DVD collection is. We moved a year and a half ago. It's in a box somewhere.
I was going to say, are you sure about that? You sure the wife didn't put it in the river or something?
She better not have. But
in a van by down to the river.
yeah, but
Well,
it's in
I
a
was
box
wondering where this box came from. It's labeled Dave's Movies.
No, but so my
That's
DVD
the only box
collection.
I haven't moved 15 times.
Right, exactly. They're in a box somewhere, but they're not unpacked because I can get any movie that's in my DVD collection on streaming now. So what's the point of my DVDs when I can just watch it anytime I want instead of having to go to a new input, go physically find the DVD, open my DVD player, put it in, go sit back down. Now I can do it all in one remote. Let's find this movie. Okay, there it is.
How about this? Okay, I'm a fan of bad television. Okay, I am a big fan of Hogan. I'm a big fan of Hogan's Heroes. Okay, you cannot.
How's that bad TV?
Oh, it's horrible. Trust me.
Carl,
Bye, Carl.
Hi, Carl. But you can't find it on a streaming service, or at least I can't on the streaming services I have. So what do? I have to watch it on my DVD.
Give me a minute.
That's another problem. Is a lot of the stuff is not on streaming service, any of them, and the question is, will it ever?
Yeah.
Well, then there's the issue of the changes that happen when it's on a streaming service versus when you have the physical media, because there are multiple episodes of Supernatural that the music was changed or that something happened where something was cut or changed or whatever. Because
try being a fan of WKRP in Cincinnati.
Exactly.
You want to talk about changing in music. Okay.
Yeah, or like, let me say this. What about The Simpsons, where you don't get the Michael Jackson episode, or what was it? I think it was The Office or Parks and Recs, where like there's an episode cut because of one of the characters dressed up as an elf, but they called it blackface. I mean, there's that too.
Okay, Dave, what were you going to say about Hogan's?
Hogan's Heroes is on Sundance streaming service.
Really? I could not find it anywhere.
Interesting.
Well, I'm here to help you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate the help.
Yeah, Jerome, and it's called Sundance Now. That is the name of the service.
You sure it's not Sundance Plus? Because everything else is plus. So I got another thing for you, Brian. You talk about changing music. You're a wrestling fan like I am. Go on the WWE Network and watch any old WCW Nitro. DDP's music is not self hi-fi.
No,
it is just some random song that they picked because WCW just played music and they didn't care. WWE had to go with the rights, and they knew they couldn't get Pearl Jam to let them play that song. So they just
the same thing with ECW, like Sandman. His theme was
Metallica. Enter.
Right. And they just dubbed over any song they wanted. So it's the same thing.
Exactly.
But also, you do give up a lot of the really cool stuff on all the extras. Like every single gag reel. Like, I'm sorry, but like I have every season of Supernatural because I'm
so does Cara now.
But so every documentary that's on the thing plus the gag reel, because you can't watch the Supernatural anything and not have a huge appreciation for the gag reel.
Dave, you have to be married to somebody who likes it, because I went through all 15 seasons. Okay,
15.
15. My wife is a Supernatural fan also.
All right. I'll mute your mic, Jerome. Now,
Jerome, what are we? Michael Jackson. Jerome.
I was angry. Don't feed it to him when he barks. Feed it to him when he lays down like a good dog. Ow!
What's not on here?
Hit me in the nose. That kind of hurt.
No, but seriously, with physical media, you get all the special features. I do love though how the Disney Plus streaming service does a lot of the extras on their Marvel movies and Star Wars. That's cool.
Down.
Oh no.
It's time to get down. Sorry.
I'm in the kitchen and I've been told I have to start cutting things.
What do you guys see? Now everybody shows off their knife collection.
Pine Spanker.
So I think the
I brought a screwdriver to a knife fight.
Yeah, well, you know.
I think that the last thing
Pen
that we
is
should
lighter
talk
than the
about
sword.
is streaming devices. And you have your Android streaming devices, but the three main ones is the Roku, the Amazon Fire Stick, and Apple TV.
Mm-hmm.
Roku is in, I believe, 46 million homes. Amazon is right around there, and Apple TV is about 35 million or so.
Roku is special because it's a lot cheaper than everything else.
Is it?
Yeah, their highest tier is what, like $99, I think.
Right. And then the Fire Stick, it's great, but it doesn't have. Now we got rid of it because it didn't have YouTube. I'm sure it's got it now, but it wasn't as good when it first started. Even though
have all the apps.
Right, even though it's more expensive, Apple TV is the best streaming box right now.
Really?
Yes.
What's the device? Is it the
Apple
little
TV.
Apple TV, little tiny box about so
Yeah,
big?
it's yay big.
Okay.
Now I will say I'm showing my bias because I'm recording on an Apple computer. I have an iPhone. I have the Apple TV Plus. I have all the Apple stuff. But when Apple gets into a game, they get in it to win it.
Oh yeah.
And I truly think the Apple streaming devices are the best because it's the easier platform to find. The remote control is probably a little tricky, but once you get a hand on it, I think the Apple TV is the easiest way to go.
Now, when it comes to the software side of things, I do think the Roku OS is better than Apple's. If you look, because I have a Roku TV, so my Roku is built into the TV.
In my office, that's what I've got as well. But
What,
it's
Roku?
Yeah, it's a TCL Roku built into the actual TV itself. But I think it can be a little more clumsy to move around than the Apple TV.
Interesting.
I'll have to take your word for it since I don't have that.
Like I said, we got rid of cable 3 years ago, so we've been playing this game for a long time.
I do have to say, though, Roku and Apple, I'm not sure Amazon does, but both of those have Dolby Vision and 4K.
Yep.
I know Amazon does have 4K, but I don't think they have Dolby Vision or Dolby Atmos built into their OS.
I'm not too sure. Like I said, we got out of Amazon a long time ago. Just go to Roku and Apple.
All right. So, do you guys have any final thoughts on the streaming wars?
Pornhub wins.
Well, you know what's funny is you joke about Pornhub. They actually do have a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription to their. They actually have an app. They have an app.
Yes, they do. He's not lying. They do have an app.
Unrelated at Birth is a family show.
Dave, where do you think all those families came from?
Okay, Christian just won the internet.
Yeah.
All right. So my prediction, I have a feeling that we haven't heard the last from Virgin, even though we haven't.
We go from Pornhub to Virgin?
That's a fetish on there now.
Well, she's not wrong because Virgin, they started out as they had like their record stores. They have an airline. They have a cruise line now. Richard Branson wants to go to space.
I was going to say they've got a space line now.
So and they have mobile phones. So why not have a streaming service?
I just tell him that weed is legal in Colorado and it's cheaper if he wants to go. He really wants to go to space.
They've been buying up radio stations left, right, and center, not only just in my city, but all across Canada. And so it's only a matter of time before the streaming services become even bigger for them. And I mean, hey, MGM's up for grabs. Everybody's saying that Apple's going to buy it. You never know.
Disney needs to go and buy it just so we can have MGM Studios again.
There you go.
Come on.
Wait a minute. Just if here's a question for you, Dave. So if Disney buys MGM, does that make Moneypenny a Disney princess?
Ooh.
I know Dr. Frankfurter is now.
She's not a princess because she's technically just a secretary.
Okay.
So,
yeah, we all know she's secretly running the whole operation.
Oh, she is, definitely.
Well, I have one last question because it came out that Netflix just surpassed 200 million subscribers.
Yep.
Disney is in their first year is at 86 million. Do you believe Disney Plus will come close or even past 200 this year?
No.
Not this year. I say in the next 3 years they'll surpass Netflix. Because I think Disney has more content than Netflix can put out.
I think if you want to really look at a privatization versus like a government run, stay with me on this, I'll explain it here, is don't look any further than the Space Coast. Whereas it was government run NASA, they lost money and they were like, we lost the space program. And when they came back, somebody finally, I've been screaming at the top of my lungs going, why don't you privatize the damn thing? And now look at us. The Space Coast is back. Not only is it back, but I remember when a shuttle launch took like a month or two, maybe 3, depending upon the launch and whatever. Now there's a rocket going up every week, and it's a different type of rocket, and they're sending so much stuff up. Why am I saying this? The reason why is they're competing. And that's the thing. I actually like the fact that there is competition now out there that's pushing the side out there. And hopefully if you make it a competition instead of a monopoly and leave it to such that people have a chance to do something really good, and not only that, but have a good product, there is going to be winners and losers. That's what a competition's for. And then I'm hoping if it gets too much, that maybe somebody in the indie section will come out there, as long as they have an open field as much as the big guys. What happened recently to GameStop? That everybody has a fair playing field, including the indie people, and that we have content galore, and it will be our time and our money that will be an expenditure for the proof of whether something should continue or not, if they're going down the wrong path. I won't say any geekdom or genre, but I will say this is the proof is in the pudding. There's certain shows out there where people were questioning the ratings of a show that I've seen. And I've said, I've never really, I do look at ratings of a show, but that's not the commitment. The commitment is, did they buy the product? Is that product sitting on the shelf collecting dust or at the dollar store not going anywhere? Or is it because there's a physical tangibility that they want to own it, they want to invest in it, and they want to make something out of it, that they're going to put their money and put it in their homes and play with it and enjoy it, to where that is what we want. We want to have the competition. We want people to listen to us as the consumer, put out a product, and we will decide, as long as the playing field's open. And I'm hoping that's what the case will be with the streaming services. I do kind of like this fight, but I do think maybe there will be resolution. I do think that we're kind of heading back to the cable systems, because somebody's going to go eventually go, we got all these channels out here. Why don't we just put them together on one service, and then we'll just be the provider. And that's why I said the streaming devices, Roku, Amazon Fire, they're going to say, okay, well, I provide this service. Well, I provide that service. I think you're going to see it just go back the way it was. As Dave said, the pendulum's now swinging back. It's not in the middle. I think David's swinging all the way back.
Yeah.
Because I think you're going to see whose content you want. And that's why I'm saying I'm hoping somebody will get the brains to go, okay, you want 30, 20, 50 channels, pay for that. There might be a few premiums out there that might increase the cost, but I want to pick what I get. If I want this, I don't want something else with it that I really don't want. It's just going to sit there, do nothing. I want something that I want to have as far as content is concerned. And then when they put out their merchandise, I'll go out and buy it. And then that's the investment. Then for a fact that I am committed to this, because I'm putting my time, I'm putting my money where it should be.
Yep. So I agree with you on that, Christian. And this is going to be my last word on the subject. It's the same thing, and we brought it up 3 or 4 times. And as you probably heard, I'm a wrestling fan. It's the exact same thing that's happened in the wrestling industry. When WCW folded in 2002, 2001, 2002, somewhere around in there, wrestling got stale because WWE knew that there was no competition. It got stale from 2002 all the way to probably 2015 when the indies started getting big. Well, the indies got big enough that a bunch of guys got together and made a new promotion called AEW that got a TV deal. And now wrestling is booming bigger than it ever was because you've got 2 warring companies, 2, 3, maybe 4 warring companies going at each other. And wrestling fans are saying this is now the golden age of wrestling. It's the same thing with streaming. It's when you have multiple things in a streaming service, everybody is upping their game to try to be the best. And we're seeing maybe a new golden age of TV, WandaVision, Mandalorian, anything on Netflix that comes out new. It's all great. And we only have streaming services and us to thank for that. To create, it's the same thing with this whole Robinhood and GameStop and Doggy Coin and all this. It's the little people creating this buzz, making everybody else go in and say, hey, we need to cow down to the little people because they're the ones paying our check.
Exactly. I think that's a great way to end this episode. I mean, when you talk about competition, we're wrestling fans. The Monday Night Wars, that's, wrestling is like the music industry. It goes like this. And I think the streaming services are parallels with wrestling and music. It's always going to be like this. So I want to thank you, Dave, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And welcome to the family. So where can people find you?
He's going to run away. Last episode.
Find me. I'm at DAdams419. You can find on Twitter, on Instagram, all that fun stuff. You can find my show at Not Related Bros on Twitter, Unrelated at Birth on Instagram. Unrelated at Birth is our Facebook group. Also, we have a Facebook fan group, Unrelated at Birth listener group. We have just a lot of fun. Tuesday nights we record 8:30 Central. We go probably hour and a half, 2 hours. And then Wednesday, we also have our podcast that'll just release. So anywhere you can get podcasts, we're there. Unrelated at Birth. Listen for it.
Once again, thank you for joining us and welcome to the family. You guys are going to want to check out Unrelated at Birth. It is hilarious. Jerome, thank you very much for joining us. As always, it's a pleasure. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me. I'm just trying to find what my Instagram is, but you can find me. You can find me at Saturday morning cartoons at 9 a.m. every Saturday morning, where we have lots of fun with cartoons. We just did a good anime show,
right?
Yes, that's Eastern. Yeah, it's Eastern time. You can find me on Twitter at Connor Hood 1707. There's an Instagram out there with my name on it somewhere, but I just don't know what I'm called on that one. And you can find me here on Facebook. And at one point, I even had a MySpace page. So, that shows how old I am. Yeah, I know. I'm old. So, but you can usually find me. And when the subject is fun like this one is and the guests are great, I try to sneak myself into the back room here at Reels and Heels. So.
Awesome. And like I said, Dingle agrees. Dingle agrees. Christian, it's always a pleasure you joining. Where can people find you?
I just want to make sure you said dingle.
Dingo.
Like the dingo ate my baby.
Dingo. No.
My terrible Australian accent.
I heard what I wanted to hear, and that was enough. Nothing else needs to be said there. Well, you can find me at my home, and if you do, you better knock on my front door first, because I'll be pissed. Be welcome with a device of some kind. But the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS on Facebook. I just posted in the private chat for you there, Brian, if you want to paste a copy of that and just put on the main chat. We are now on YouTube, and we finally made it. Yeah, we're now one of the YouTubers now, with 60 people. We're starting off slow. Hey, it was a break. It was only 2 days ago that we started, but we started 8 years ago. Now we're up to 49,700 Facebook likes. So I don't know why that comes up to 60 people on our YouTube channel, but go figure. Just didn't get enough out there. But yeah, join our YouTube channel. We do an episode usually Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The next episode that's coming up, we're going to be talking about the episode's called So Who's Next, where we're going into a discussion about the rumors that Jodie is possibly leaving.
I thought that was fact, actually.
What's
I
that?
thought that was fact. I thought she said she was done after this season.
No, there's another rumor that she's staying. So
what time's that show?
The thing is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're probably going to go into the rumors a little bit out there. The rumors are out that a lot of the British tabloids and some of the, I think like, I don't want to get it wrong, but I think like the Mary Sue had said that. Oh, is it the Mary Sue or somebody else? But the social medias, but mostly in Britain, some of them considering equal to the Inquirer, have said Jodie Whittaker was leaving. However, nothing from the BBC came out.
Yep.
So
I heard the name Michael Shannon.
Michael Sheen.
Or Sheen, that's what I meant. Sheen, Michael Sheen.
Michael Shannon's pissed that you even mentioned his name, so he's really upset that he doesn't want you to say it again. But Michael Sheen, I completely doubt it because he's worked for Disney.
Busy with other stuff too.
He's busy on Fox doing a TV show right now, so it would be. It's the only time I think it would be a drop back where Peter Capaldi, he was an he's an Academy Award winner.
Yeah.
And he went back to Doctor Who to do it on the TV show, but now what is he? He's doing the new Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usually people are told if you are going to be the Doctor, guess what? Your life's going to change in 3 years after you leave.
Can we get David Tennant back?
No.
Please.
No, he's okay. Once you got him the taste of Marvel, Disney, or any of the streaming services, you don't go back. It literally is like saying, I'm going to go from Disney back to PBS. Nobody does that.
Benedict Cumberbatch did.
What's that?
Benedict Cumberbatch did for Sherlock.
Yeah, he got Marvel now, so he doesn't go back to the BBC.
Cumberbatch's not doing Sherlock
You gotta
anymore.
pick and choose your battles. Yeah. So I'm just like, and then also he was really good at Sherlock. So I'm like,
probably
once you go Marvel,
probably the best
you don't
television
grovel.
show of all time.
Yeah. So it's,
no,
I mean, if you really think about it, Stephen Moffat was running Sherlock and Doctor Who at the same time. So
Moffat is probably Jon Favreau. He's the British.
I would actually, if Jon Favreau didn't mind stepping down, I would like him to take over another sci-fi show that I'm thinking about right now to go fix things because I'm like, okay.
Hey, he fixed Star Wars. We're okay.
Yeah, that's another 8-hour shift on this show.
So I can't wait for that episode with Christian and Dave. That's going to be a good show.
It's not basically bitching like Cole's dog. I'm only going to say this, and this is for the folks who are pro The Last Jedi. A man who flew a ship into the Death Star to go rescue his dad, knowing that he would probably die, get his ass kicked, and fight the Emperor at the same time. And you're telling me he ends up on an island by himself drinking titty milk because of his nephew's dream?
Yeah,
I agree.
If you can change my mind on that, I will shut up about The Last Jedi.
Rian Johnson was the worst thing to ever happen to the Star Wars universe.
I won't go any further. We'll save that for the next
Yeah.
show.
So, Willow,
What's up?
as always, thank you for your company. And you have something going on tomorrow. What's Willow going to talk about?
Willow's Pillow Talk. I have a manager from an old Canadian rock band, Sugar and Spice, on my show. So yeah, it'll be an interesting show. A couple of years ago, I was in a group, in a cosplay group, and one of the photographers was in this band, Sugar and Spice, and unfortunately, he passed away, and I met his manager at his funeral. So been trying to get an interview in with him for a while, and so I finally got it. So Michael Gillespie will be on my show tomorrow night. So it'll be interesting to see his career, how it evolved from the 60s to now.
What time is that episode?
It'll be on at 7 p.m. Eastern.
So the exact same time the Royal Rumble starts.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, Willow. I'll share it, but
yeah.
Willow, David and I just wanted to say goodbye to you before you left.
It was a very good time.
We just want you.
Willow. Thank you very much.
I know. Slide into the sheets with Willow and her pillow talk every night.
All right, so as we end the show every weekend, it's time to ring the bell.